So now I can initialize my second variable here, this second number variable. So second number assignment operator, and again I need to convert it to an integer value. So int dot parse. So I need to refer to the name of this method. So I just need to put a pair of parentheses, and inside the parentheses I can refer to the name of the console class dot read line. So because this read line is actually a method, I need to put a pair of parentheses here, and then put a semicolon at the end of your statement. So now that we actually initialized our variables here, I want to actually tell you about the if statements. So now first of all, let me actually print the values of these first number and the second numbers to the console. So here I can say console dot write line, and inside the parentheses I can actually put a $sign here, because I want to use actually string interpolation expression here. So $, and then I put two quotes, and inside the quotes I can put a pair of curly braces, and now I can, inside the curly braces, I can refer to the name of my first number variable, and then I put a comma, and then I put another pair of curly braces, and inside these curly braces I put my second number variable. And finally, I put a semicolon at the end of my statement. So now let's run our application. So just hold the control key on your keyboard down and then press on F5 key on your keyboard. So let's wait a little bit here. And now you can see the console, it says, please enter first integer value. So here I can say number 20, and then I just press on enter key on my keyboard. And it says, please enter second integer value. So now I enter number 30. And then I just press on enter key on my keyboard. So now it says number 20, comma, number 30. So we are actually printing these values to the console, these values that are entered by the user. So let's press on enter key again so that the program is actually finished. And now I want to talk about if statements. So after this line of code that actually prints these values to the console, this first number and the second number, I can just type in here if here. So if, and then after this if, I can put a pair of parentheses. So inside the parentheses, I can put my expression here. Inside the parentheses, you need to put an expression that is going to evaluate to true or false. Okay? I'll talk more about Boolean variables later in this course, but inside the parentheses of the if statements, you must always put an expression that is going to actually evaluate to true or false. So for example, I can say if first number. So here inside the parentheses, I am referring to the name of this variable, first number, right? And remember that I told you that we don't have equal operators in programming. I told you that this operator here is not an equal operator. But what is an equal operator in programming? An equal operator in programming is actually two equal operators here. So two equal operators is called an equal in programming. So here I'm saying if first number is equal to second number, if the value of this first number that is entered by the user is actually equal to or the same as the value of the second number that is entered by the user is actually the same, here inside the curly braces, as you can see, I actually opened and closed this if statement by using these curly braces. So let me delete these curly braces again. So I just put an opening curly brace here, and then I just press on enter key on my keyboard so you can see these curly braces. An opening curly brace followed by a closing curly brace. So this is called the scope of this if statement. I'll talk more about scopes later, but just know that this is actually a scope of this if statement, and whatever that we actually create inside this if statement here cannot be accessed outside of this if statement. I'll talk more about that later, don't worry. So let's go inside the curly braces of this if statement. And here I can say console dot write line, and inside the parentheses I can put two quotes, and now I can say so because I want to actually use a string interpolation expression here, I must use a $sign here before these quotes, and here I can say and I put a pair of curly braces here, and inside the curly braces I can refer to the name of the first number variable. The first number is the same as, and again I put a pair of curly braces here, And inside these curly braces, I put second number variable. And finally, at the end of my statement, I put a semicolon. So let me close this window here. And now I put a semicolon at the end of my statement. So now let's run our application. Let me just hold the control key on your keyboard down and then press on F5 key on your keyboard.